Okay.
You know,
Over here?
and then you can wait till I get Oscar. Oscar. Get Oscar a gift first.
Okay.
You gotta play each point at a time. There's time to one to the court pump.
No, you?
Sober it up.
Oscar, we're going to ask you a couple of questions while he's panning these pictures, so stand right over there.
Here?
We're going to get you in. I want you just to do the voice part now.
Oh.
So stand right over on this side where the mic is.
Oh, okay.
Over here.
On
Yeah.
this side, Oscar.
Oh, on this side.
Over here.
Wait,
Over here. You're not in the picture yet.
I know.
You're just
But
going
I gotta talk into here, right?
That's correct.
All right.
Okay, who are these people, Oscar, on the left-hand corner there?
Offhand?
Well, you know,
One looks like Lefty Coyle,
if you
and the other
wanna
one's
think about it.
Eddie Lins. Ooh.
are these classic stars?
Yes, the one on the right basically was a champion in his own right. The one on the left was like a club champion. Am I right? Basically, am I right?
You know, you've been up at this club so long. That happens to be the wonderful national champion team of Eddie Coyle and Lefty Coyle and Eddie Lins, and they won 3 successive national championships. And then you entered on the scene, and you carried on the mantle of the great New York Athletic Club tradition.
Excuse me.
May I add that Lefty Cole was the first guy to beat Joe Plattick when Joe Plattick was playing sensational handball.
That's exactly right.
Who is this marvelous person over here who's making a face that kind of looks like
Okay.
Curly in the Three Stooges?
That's Kenny Ginty, one of our wonderful young stars.
He's
1 wall, 3 wall, 4 wall, top contender in them all.
now directly below that. There's a bunch of people here. Is it Murder Incorporated? Who are these guys?
That particular picture was taken in 1956. You see some of the greatest all-round legends in that picture. Starting on the bottom, on your left, is the great Jimmy Jacobs. Fabulous player, wonderful sportsman. Went around the world preaching the gospel of handball. He won 6 national 1-wall singles, 6 national doubles championships with Marty Decatur. And the fellow immediately alongside of him, without even an emblem yet, because we had just joined the club and you had to prove yourself. That was in 1956, that's the great Carl Obert. You'll be talking with him a lot in a few minutes. Next to him, Johnny Sloan, one of the craftiest players in 4-wall. Didn't have power, but he knew exactly what to do with the ball and won many Grand Slams himself. Alongside him in the front is again Eddie Lins, great national champion. Now right above Eddie Lins, right just in the second row there, is Harry Beattie, longtime club member, junior national champion, always in the higher echelons of 4-wall play. Another immortal right next to Harry, the great Vic Hershkowitz. Vic Hershkowitz with 26 national open championships. Covered a span of almost 20 years. Went on to win many Masters championships. Was a member of the Handball Hall of Fame, as is Carl Obert and Jimmy Jacobs that I mentioned. We'll talk more about Oscar's accomplishments in a little while. Next to Vic, in the middle row, Harry Hyde. Great champion from Ireland, joined the club in the 60s. Always a top competitor, played 1-wall and 4-wall. Next to him, the great Joe Pushkow, a club member for many years. When Oscar first became a member here, Joe Pushkow needed a partner, and Oscar and he traveled down to Louisville, Kentucky, and they won. He allowed Joe Pushkow to win his first national championship. That's a little bit of handball, not only irony, but also handball history. Now, right above Joe Pushkow, standing, is John Abbott. He went on with Joe Ingracia to win 3 national championships for the club. Next to John Abbott is the great Phil Collins. Many years a star in the national one wall, went on to combine with Johnny Sloan for many national championships in 4 wall. Next to him is Joe Ingracia, president of the New York Athletic Club, and also the partner of John Abbott in winning those 3 national championships. The fellow next to Joe Ingracia on the far right, your right, in the back row, is the person speaking, Ruby Obert. And as we pan past these pictures, you will see how he looked in 1956 with dark hair. A little later on, in 1992, you'll see him with white hair. He's been on the New York Athletic Club handball team for 37 years. Eric, before you go, just panning to the right now, all the way over to the right, is Eric Klarman. This fine champion, member of the club, won the junior nationals, 1 wall, 3 wall, and 4 wall. Went on to 1 wall greatness, 4 wall greatness, and 3 wall greatness. Still finished in the finals of the national 1 wall last year. Went on to win the national doubles championship with Danny Maroney. Smile for the group, and I want you to tell the people on camera.
Ruby's the greatest.
No, about yourself and about handball, about training techniques and things like that. What do you think?
Well, I think handball is the ultimate sport. I think you have to train real hard if you want to stay on a competitive level. And I don't know. I think that's about it. That sums it up. You got to train hard to play hard.
I just want to add that Eric's father, Jerry Klarman, has been in national competition for many, many years. Also a standout in the sport. And Eric is studying for accountancy, so he's just not a guy who hits the ball around. He was also an accredited baseball player with many offerings from major teams to play baseball. So look at the shape on him. He's been working out with weights. He's always in tremendous condition, a fine athlete, and we thank him for joining us today.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks.
Okay,
How do you feel about steroids?
Got it. I don't take them.
panning back to the board now.
The girls I date do, but not.
That's all right, well.
Panning back to the board, up on the top,
Let me get by.
is the great Jimmy Jacobs, Joe Ingracia, and Oscar Obert. The beautiful part about this picture is Oscar and Jimmy Jacobs were both inducted into the Handball Hall of Fame in the same year at the New York Athletic Club. There are about 400 people here, and the president of the New York AC and the president of the USHA were both here talking and mentioning wonderful things about these great champions. It was very important, in my judgment, that these two great superstars should be inducted into the hall at the same time because of their great contributions to the sport of handball. Now, panning over just a little bit next to that, you'll see a large trophy. You'll see Oscar and Ruby with this 4-foot trophy, which was presented from the members of the Brooklyn Central YMCA, and that's Sid Belinsky on the left, Joe Ingracia in the middle, and Charlie O'Connell, the National AAU chairman, on the right. The purpose of the trophy was a presentation from the Union Temple to the New York AC for all the clinics and all the wonderful exhibitions that the Obert brothers, including Carl, put in and on at the Union Temple to raise money for their activities to send their players to national championships. That was a wonderful evening, and judging by the smiles, I think everybody was very proud to be part of that occasion. What we're going to do now is stop for a moment so we can move the camera to get a better shot at some of these other pictures. We'll take this one. Shoot. What you see now is Eddie Mauclair. He's now a man, believe it or not, 80 years old, still going strong, still sings the Star-Spangled Banner for the festivities at the New York AC. He also is often seen at the 21 Club because of his public relations business. And in the same picture is Vic Hershkowitz and Joe Ingracia. The television you see is one of the first prizes that we used to have at the New York AC Invitationals, which was started 22 years ago and which will take place this year, March 19 to March 22nd. Panning again to the next picture, the great Freddie Munch, who was in charge of our handball activities here many years, a national champion in his own right, won 1-wall, 3-wall, and 4-wall championships, many Masters championships. Unfortunately, he had an untimely death at the age of 50, but he'll be sorely missed for all the wonderful things he did for the club and for his great work in handball. He was also an accountant in finance with the Gulf and Western Corporation, and then later in Orange County as one of the county supervisors. Next to him is Tom Kessler, longtime club member. He won a championship here with Freddie Munch, and he was one of the fellas, club members, who teamed up so superbly with Carl Obert as Oscar joined the Handball League, which we had here in New York. Panning again to the next picture is Buzz Shoemate, a national contender. He's being presented with a trophy by the president of the New York AC, the handball committee man at that time in the 60s, Joe Ingrassi. Panning down here. Okay, the next picture is this one over here. Shows a little bit of age. That is John Abbott and Joe Ingrassi, the two players that I mentioned to you before. Both club members for the longest time and still going strong. Panning down again. Right here, the legendary Joe Playtech. He won 7 national championships in a row. Unfortunately, he had an untimely death at the age of 45. A wonderful, great champion. He represented the Lakeshore Club of Chicago. He used to train by running up and down the stairs all day long. He used to play 4 or 5 hours a day. At that time, they played on the 24 by 48 courts, which is a far cry from the now standardized 20 by 40 courts. Panning down to the next picture is the great John Bike. He's the young fellow there, second from your left. He went on in 1990 to win a championship, joined the Pro Tour, and then in 1991 he won the national singles in 4-wall, the national doubles in 4-wall, and also the national singles and doubles in 3-wall. What he's attempting to do this following year is try and come close to the legendary feat of Carl Obert, who had won all 3 championships in the same year, in addition to winning 5 out of the 6 major championships in the same year, and going on to win 42 national championships. 42 national championships. He injured his back at the age of 35. He would have gone on to win, I'm sure, many, many more, because he was at the peak of his athletic prowess. The man standing to his right, to John Bike's right, is Arthur Farhood, secretary of the club for many years, now president of the New York AC Wine Tasting Society, which draws around 200 to 220 people every month that they hold it, and they taste and talk about a different wine. The fellow standing next to John Bike is Tom Blakey. He's an Air Force pilot and now a commercial pilot who trains for his handball down in Florida. A wonderful champion, practices many, many hours, and the reason you're seeing him in the picture with the great John Bike is that John Blakey reached the finals of the 1991 New York AC Invitational, and these two great champions met in the finals. Bike went on to win 21-18, 21-17. It was a great match. And the man standing next to Tom Blakey is Jim Forsey, now who runs the handball activities at the New York AC. We're going to keep panning through here to see some of the other greats over the years. You'll see how people aged over time. They used to start out with dark black hair, and now they have gray, and they're lucky to have hair at all sometimes. Looking up at one of these pictures here, Ken Ginty is in this picture, a great Irish champion who came to the United States, joined the New York Athletic Club, and brought a great deal of honor to the tournaments that were held here. Okay. Oz, while you're scanning all these pictures, and we did all this work describing him and all the years of activity, and you being a member of the NYAC AC for 37 years, could you sum up, as best you can, what thoughts and what feelings you have about handball, the NYAC AC, and just the world in general?
Well, not too many words. All the athletes that participated in this club played great players that were in this club, went on to go into championships, and some won numerous amount of championships while others didn't make the grade. Now, greatness is when you play and the people you play to understand their feelings about the game. And to me, the greatest game that ever was played was the one-wall game, and then into the three-wall, and then the four-wall. Now, many of these players who are great four-wall athletes could not participate in the one-wall because it's altogether a different game. Now, how to understand why people don't go into different types of the one-wall, three-wall, and four-wall is they can't adapt themselves. As a one-wall player, you can adapt yourself to play three-wall and four-wall. As a four-wall player, since there's actually 6 walls, that's counting the floor, and one wall is only one wall with lines. And for people who play this sport, who are great athletes, cannot seem to grasp the one-wall game in the extent of where they have to run to the left, to the right, all the way back, where full wall, the walls help them out a great deal.
Okay, hold on one second. Shut it for a second. We'll go right into the handball court now. No, that's artificial light. I want the natural light in here.
Okay.
There was silence in the gym with 1,200 people, and then all at once they realized what had happened. You had been somehow betrayed by the circumstance of the moment, but that great championship heart came out again, and everyone at once recognized it, that you were indeed a champion, and the ceiling was raised with the tumultuous applause. And I'm holding here in front of me the article from the United States Handball Association magazine. It was indeed your greatest game, Oscar Obert. Now, having said that, you also are a champion in three-wall and four-wall. What was your greatest three-wall singles championship?
Well, that's hard to say. You have to think back, and that same year, I had played one-wall championship and won it. That same year, I won the three-wall championship and won it. The same year, I won the four-wall national championship and won it. And the three-wall, I can't recall.
I can help you, Oscar. I think it was probably 1959 where the great and legendary Vic Hershkowitz had amassed 9 singles championships in a row.
That's right.
And you went out there, and he was the master of those courts. That was your first appearance, and lo and behold, you had ended the reign of this great champion. Taking nothing away from Vic, you were obviously the younger man, but you played on a court 23 by 46 with no back wall, which meant that you could go back another 15 to 20 feet. So you were hitting kill shots, I don't know if you remember this, from 60 feet out and making the definitive shot. That was just brilliant in my opinion. But staying with the three walls for just a moment, you also played in the doubles that year with me, and we came to the finals against the legendary Vic Hershkowitz and Jimmy Jacobs. And all the local pundits had said there's no way that these young whippersnappers from New York can beat these 2 great champions. Lo and behold, in the first game they beat us. Lo and behold, in the second game they were leading. And lo and behold, the gallery all said, I guess we were right. It looks like Vic and Jimmy are going to go on to this championship. But as Oscar mentioned before, you may be a great singles champion, but to play doubles, there has to be coordination. It also meant that they forgot that Oscar warmed up slowly. Having played singles and then now in the doubles championship, again, this great champion turned it on, ably assisted by me and not missing, hopefully, and we went on to win that great 3-wall doubles championship. Now, Oscar, in 4-wall, I remember you played Johnny Sloan in Texas in the mid-60s. He was the reigning national champ. You had not been playing 4-wall for too long. You found yourself in Texas. I believe it was 18 up in the 3rd game, and then something happened. What happened?
Well, what happened was he took the ball off the back wall with his left hand, and apparently I just turned around just a little bit. It got me right in the eye. Then Rube came over and he said, "You better take a timeout." And I says, "No, I can't take a timeout. Let me go back on the court." I went back on the court. He was serving, and I saw the ball coming a dozen times at me. When I finally put him out, I believe I got up, made a point, he put me out. Well, anyhow, the outcome was that I beat him 21 to 19, I think it was.
I remember sitting in the gallery, Oscar, when you got hit, and the guy next to me said, "Well, it's all over now. Obert got hit in the eye. He's not going to be able to continue." And I didn't know what was going to happen. I merely said to him, "Well, you never know. Things can happen." And as it was, you came back on the court and you ran out 3 successive shots for the championship. They said it was a fluke, but you did the same thing to him in the finals in Seattle the following year, which proved it wasn't a fluke, and it showed that you had the all-round type of game to beat any champion in any sport. Now, we've talked about 1-wall, 3-wall, and 4-wall a little bit in the singles. We talked about the 3-wall doubles. We just talked about the 4-wall singles. What we want to do now is retrace that golden moment of you and Steve Sandler in that game in 1964. I'd like your own observations. What was going through your mind at the beginning of the game and things like that? How the game unfolded and how you were thinking about what strategy to employ?
Well, a man goes into play, no matter who the opponent is, and he says, "I'm going to play the ball, not the man, not the referees, just the ball itself." Now, you have to be there to understand the circumstances of when you go in to play somebody for the finals. The idea is that you have to go in there. You don't have to win, because winning isn't everything. But the thought there was, play the ball, not the man, not the referees, and continue playing until you find out the outcome of the game. It did go 3 games. But the outcome was a deficit of 20 to 12. I kept on playing, and eventually, as my brother said, I won 20 to 20.
Okay, Oscar, just one little last question before we go into another part of the club, and we'll continue the conversation. This is the actual court that you were on. I mean, what are your feelings about having played on this particular court for so many years and being a champion who brought so many great championships to the New York Athletic Club?
Well, once you become a champion for the first time, the next year comes and you have to prove your worth again. And I believe that for 8 years, I kept coming back, and for 8 years, I won the singles, and for 8 years, we won the doubles. Now, to understand when you go in, players are coming at you one at a time. And you got to put in your mind, you play the ball, you don't play your opponent. You don't play the referees, like I said before. Now, each time you win, there's only one place to go. It's either down or you have to keep on coming up. And with all the players that have played, great ones that could achieve greatness just didn't have it. Either they were disgusted with the play and saying, "I can't beat you," but there's no such thing. When you go in, you play. No matter who your opponent is, naturally you have to play to win. But there's times when the man goes in and he says, "Forget about it, I can't beat you." But there's a lot of times where if you can apply yourself, for every opponent you play, you don't play the same game. You have to go and say, "Well, I can change my serve because if he catches up to it, what to set the serve the same way." So you have to keep on changing serve, taking timeouts at the right time, and not showing your opponent your tie. Once you show them your tie, might as well say forget about it. The game is over.
Okay, thanks very much, Oz. What we're going to do now is show some of the great pictures of you. Matthew is going to show you as you were in 1964, and this is the article I mentioned to you, your greatest game. Next, we have the great Charlie O'Connell, who was the national chairman of the Amateur Athletic Union at the time. He sponsored us in the club. Believe it or not, the fellas next to him are the three Obert brothers. Sure. Okay. And we've had another request for Oscar. And this next is our mom, dad, sister, and on the left there is Carl, in the middle is Ruby, and on the right is Oscar. And this, we never knew that this was probably the beginning of the greatest brother team in any sport, winning 92 national championships. The next picture is one of the first official pictures of the New York AC, showing Oscar and Ruby. You can see there were no emblems on the shirts. You had to prove yourself to be a member. The following picture is an early picture of Carl. You see the enthusiasm that he shows. Always fast on his feet, great two-way hop serve. Somehow he snuck an emblem on his shirt there. Always a great competitor. We're going to talk to Carl a little bit later. And in honor of the great champions, I have here a 1963 cover of the Handball magazine. At that time it was called Ace magazine. They had to change the title because they found out that there was a girly magazine called Ace, so they changed it to Handball magazine after that. But to your left is a caricature of the great Oscar Obert. Look at the intensity of his face and the way his body unwinds to exert tremendous power. The man in the middle is Johnny Sloan, a great technician on the court. No power, but he knew exactly what to do with the ball. He won multiple national Grand Slams, meaning the singles and doubles in the same year. And next to him is the legendary Jim Jacobs, many times national champion, 4-wall, 1-wall. All these three fellas are in the United States Handball Association Hall of Fame, and rightfully so. And just look up in the upper right-hand corner of the magazine, you'll see the price of the issue was $1 at that time. If you want to be a member today, 25 bucks will get you a one-year membership. It's not that inflation did all that. What we're going to say is there's a finer product being produced. It talks about the Handball Pro Tour and all the activities all around the country about handball. So if you love handball, you can get in touch with me at the New York Athletic Club. I'll be delighted to tell you how you can become a member of the great United States Handball Association. We've had many wonderful times at the New York AC. Here's a picture. The fellow in the middle is the legendary Vic Hershkowitz. Won 26 national championships in his time, 1-wall, 3-wall, 4-wall. And along with Carl and Oscar, are only 3 people who have won the national singles in 1-wall, 3-wall, and 4-wall. Ruby Obert is on your left, Oscar is next to him. My dad, our dad, is next to Vic Hershkowitz there. And there's Carl making up the quintet. This is a great picture. It shows over 120 national championships. That is truly amazing. The next picture shows an event at the New York Athletic Club. I'll only mention a few of the people there. Joe